I forgot that I was playing disc golf. I was out there just trying to make it.
So today we've got Trevor Harbolt, touring pro, legend in what, Kentucky?
I guess you could say that, yeah. I don't know. Long time playing, that's for sure, yeah.
Yeah, it's one of the people that introduced me to the sport. I know, like one of the first families that I really had in disc golf was you and your dad. Just kind of brought me in and made me feel welcome. So
yeah, that's what you're supposed to do in disc golf, if you ask me. You know, like just make everybody feel welcome. It doesn't matter what walk of life you come from or where you come from. For 32 years, man, we just play because we love it around here, and we just continue to try to bring everybody in. We want everybody to play. You know, like we want everybody to enjoy themselves while they're playing and have fun playing the sport that we've had fun for the longest time. So you're just one of those guys that we love to bring in and hang out with, you know? So it's been an awesome ride.
30-some years of playing. I mean, that's just insane. How did that go about? Like, how did that all start?
Well, my dad started playing in like 89 or 90. My uncle started playing in like 79 or 80 because Otter Creek was put in the late 70s. So that was the first course we played. My uncle been playing for like 10 years, and me and Dad played ball golf a lot. We liked to play. I was like 6 years old and just loved golf. I loved the game of golf. So it got a little expensive for us, and Dad found Frisbees. My uncle showed him what Frisbees were and discs and stuff. So one day, my uncle took me and my dad out to Otter Creek, and I haven't stopped playing since.
Heck yeah.
And that was in 1991.
Starting out on a course like that must have been even nostalgic then, because that was one of the ones that Steady Ed put in, I think.
Yeah, so back then I had no idea who Steady Ed was. You know, like, I mean, you heard about the guy that invented the Frisbee and stuff, but we didn't know who the guy that created disc golf was. It was 91, we had DX Eagles, and, you know, and like DX stuff. It wasn't like, we were just throwing Frisbees. There was no competition yet for us, you know, like it was just go out and play with my uncle and my dad and my cousins and stuff and play. But Otter Creek, you know, playing back then was just so fun because it was just the woods and the holes weren't very long. So as a kid, I could get to all of the holes. And now playing it now, 32 years later, I look at the holes and I'm just like, man, nothing's really changed. And it's probably the most nostalgic place I've ever played disc golf in the entire world.
So looking out over your entire disc golf career, what would you say is your highlight moment? Like what is the moment in disc golf that changed your life?
And that's tough. Because I think everybody in the world that plays disc golf could say it changed their life in some way, right? But me, it was just being out there with my family, my dad, my cousins, and just playing disc golf. It made me have fun playing the game. It wasn't until early 2000s that we got into tournaments, and I didn't really know about the competitive side. And when that happened, it flipped a switch. You know, it was like, now I want to play every day. Now I want to throw putts in the basket every day. Now I want to throw as far as I can every day. I want to do it every single day and play and just be the best. Because when I was growing up, we knew who Ken Climo was. We watched Ken Climo play. We watched, we go to Bowling Green and watch Climo and Barry Schultz and Marcus Kallstrom and Al Sugar Shack and Dean Tannick and all these old heads that were just so freaking good at the game. And it was just, they made it look so easy. And I wanted to be that when I was a kid. And I remember in high school, my senior year, my English teacher was asking everybody what they're going to do when they get out of high school. And I told everybody I was going to be a professional disc golfer. And I just love it.
It's one thing to have that dream and say, I'm going to do this one day. I'm going to be this one day. But it's another thing to put the nose to the grindstone and do it.
I think the hardest part about that was I quit my job. I, got rid of my house. I got rid of my new car. I got rid of everything and said, you know what? This is my chance. And I went. And here I am still. It's like 7-8 years after I started. I'm playing for my career, and I come back home and I still play with my dad and my cousins. It's my favorite thing in the world to do. So, you got to put everything in and go for it. And if you fail, you fail. You'll learn.
What would you say your most hilarious story from on the road?
There's so many because, but it's also like, which ones can I remember,
Yeah.
I think my favorite memory of the funniest thing that's ever happened to me on disc golf tour was Maple Hill. in 2021. I threw on hole 8. I've aced it on video before, which is one of my favorite aces I've ever gotten because it was on video and it was like so sick. But on that hole, I threw a hurricane and it went in the water. And I was like, uh-oh. So I had to go to the drop zone. And I went to the drop zone and I missed my putt. And okay, so I'm gonna take a 4. No, I missed the 10-footer. And when I did, I looked up at the guys that were in the crowd. They're called the ace holes. And I looked at them all and I was like, guys, you guys don't have to watch me. Just messing with them, joking, just bantering and getting over the embarrassing fact that I missed this putt. Well, the next round, I did the exact same thing. I threw in the water, I go to the drop zone, I miss my putt, and I go back for my 10-footer, and all these people, I'm talking probably about 100 people on the stands, they all look at me, and in synchronicity, they turn around to not watch me.
Oh, man.
And I can my putt, and they all turn around and cheer for me.
Yeah.
And it was just one of those feelings like, that was the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life, and I can't laugh really hard right now because I got to focus on the next hole, right?
Yeah, it's like
but
I got to stay.
It was one of my favorite moments, like funny-wise, on the course or on tour. It's just like, it's something that I'll never forget because it was just so funny, man. In the middle of a tournament,
Yeah. If you're going to go to a league, this is just...
In general.
Doesn't matter. Like, let's say there's going to be some money on the line and you're going to go to the league. Doubles or singles?
Singles.
Singles?
All
day long?
All day.
See, man, I want people to carry me. I want to get up there and be like, all right, you throw the shot and I'll try to putt. I'll try to get to the basket sometime.
I think I pick singles because I play singles, and it's always, no matter where I play, it's practice. I don't mind playing doubles. I like it. I like it when it's random doubles. So, but yeah, I don't mind doubles and I don't mind glow golf, all those things. I like all the extra games like ripped and all that. It's all fun to me.
If going in for a world title, going in for world championships,
all right,
money's on the line, you got to listen to one song to hype you up and get your round going. What are you throwing in the CD player? What do we do? CD player? What do you use Spotify in?
CD player.
What do you got on the Bluetooth?
Whitechapel, man.
Whitechapel.
Yeah, there's a mix of things. Like it depends on the mood I'm in. Almost kind of the course I'm playing too. I guess I don't know. Like I love listening to Whitechapel. It gets me hyped up, and I know the guys personally too, so it's just another factor into it. Like, these guys are my favorites, dude. Let's jam, get ready, and then you got to go. Oh, you got to calm down.
It's like, right, I'm pumped up. I can throw like a 500-foot drive right now, but whenever I get to that like 20-foot putt, I'm gonna have to like.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to listen to some reggae, man.
I like heavy metal for that. Like, there's something about it that makes you want to like just rip a diff.
Yeah, dude. You just want to rip, and that's the thing. Like I tell people when I'm doing clinics and stuff is, you want to rip it as hard as you can. Sometimes it seems like they're too scared to throw. So I'm like, just listen to some metal or act like you're gonna backhand somebody.
Yeah.
And that's how you throw. Like so metal incorporates everything in my life, really. So
speaking of that, like speaking of heavy metal, you were in a metal band for a little bit, right?
Yeah, 9 years.
That was before. Was that during disc golf or just kind of like side by side with it?
So in 2004, I had just gotten out of the military. I was in the Air Force. I just got out of the military and I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was like, okay, do I want to go work at a restaurant? Do I want to go to a factory job? What do I want to do? I want to do music. I had a bunch of friends. I worked a haunted house a lot, and I had all these guys tell me, you should be in a metal band. You scream really good.
Yeah.
And I didn't think about it. I was just screaming at people to make them pee their pants at a haunted house. That was my thing. And I went and tried out for a band, and they were like, we want to hire you. And I was like, oh, cool. What do I do? Yeah. So never been in a band before that. And that was 2004. I had quit playing disc golf competitive. Actually, it was 2006. I'm sorry. 2007, I quit playing disc golf competitively for 7 years because the band was taking up a lot of time. We were touring and we were playing shows 3 times a week, 4 times a week in local areas. We were going to Illinois or Michigan or Indiana and playing, and it was taking up a lot of time. We had to write songs. I had to write lyrics. I had to record. I had to come up with merchandise. I had to travel. I had to do all of this stuff. And while I had a great time, it wasn't fulfilling to me. Being on stage and singing in front of people was great. Like having people sing your songs in front of you, it's like another feeling you won't feel unless you do it. But it wasn't my lifestyle. I'm not a drinker. So in metal, it's slamming, and it just got to me a little bit. And at the end of it, we were supposed to go to Europe and play, and it didn't pan out. And I decided that I'd rather do disc golf touring instead of touring with 4 other stinky metal band guys, you know? And while I love my guys, they're still my friends, it wasn't for me. Disc golf kept calling me. My cousin Ethan, you know Ethan.
Yeah, I know.
He called me for 2013. My band had just broken up, and he was like, dude, you want to do the Pro-Am next year at Otter Creek? I was like, man, I don't play disc golf tournaments anymore, man. Like, it's just, I get too frustrated. He called me and was like, I want to play a golf tournament with you. And I was like, dude, I'm not playing. He goes, I'll pay for you. So we went out and played, and we took an 8 on an island hole, and we missed cash by 5 strokes. So if we would have just birdied it, we would have cashed. And it really lit a fire under my ass and wanted me to get out and compete again. So I got to hand it to my cousin. He kicked me in my throat and said, dude, get out and play again. You're really good. And then 2015-16 came around, the Pro Tour came out, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to go. Very hard. It's very hard out there. If it was.
Yeah.
Now it's a little easier.
Now you got a little more access to a few different things.
But it's like a give and take, right? Like, it's gotten more money, which made it a little easier to live on. But that also means that all these amazing killers are coming out here and taking all that money now.
Yeah.
So people like me who are, 1,000 rated around average, and I got to shoot a little bit above what I'm used to. When 3 years ago, I could shoot around 1,000 in cash. It's cool to see the growth. Personally, I say 3 things helped. COVID helped, Brody Smith helped, and Steve Dodge and the Disc Golf Pro Tour starting helped.
Yeah.
And then you can even say UDisc. UDisc might have been one of the biggest things that's helped our sport the most. Just looking up a course in your local area and clicking and be like, okay, how far does it get? Oh, it says 20 minutes. Cool, I'll be there. I remember back when we first started, they gave us the course directory book, which was like that thick. And we had to thumb through it to find the course. And then you had to write down the directions and go to like Google Maps on your computer and print out dude, it was crazy. I mean, back in the mid 90s and or late 90s, you were not finding disc golf courses unless you had that book, or you talked to local players that you knew or something. Like, me and Dad went to Nashville one time, and it took us forever to find the 3 courses we went to play, Yeah.
So speaking of courses, you've played a ton, I'm sure.
I just played my 427th course, actually.
What would your all-time, like if you could only play one course for the rest of your life, what would that one be? I know the sentimental one.
That would be one of those, that would be like one of the hard ones. But I honestly, like, it depends on what you're asking. If you're asking that a course I want to play and have fun on every day, or a course that I want to practice every day, but it's probably both Idlewild.
Both Idlewild? Yeah.
I love Idlewild, man. It fits my game so well. I know that property really well, and it's just magical to me. It's just a magical place. Maple Hill is right up there too, though. De La too. So it's really hard to pick. Like, you give me a Mount Rushmore, I could probably put them up there, like De La, Maple Hill, Idlewild, and then the 4th one's always hard, because you don't want to ever, you don't want to finish the Mount Rushmore. You want it to keep going. But.
Yeah. All right. So.
Yes, I do want to be sponsored by you, Arizona.
I'm going to ask the question that everybody in internet land is going to want to know.
Okay.
Why a narwhal?
Okay. So the first one I did was a shark, and I have a huge love for sharks. Jaws is my favorite movie of all time, and I just love gray whites. I think they're just majestic animals, right? And it went along with the DGA theme. Like, so DGA does, like the breaker wave, the pipeline wave. It's all kind of ocean themed and stuff. So I thought about it, and I was like, okay, well, I've already done a shark. Should I do another ride an animal? What can I do? And then they're like, well, what kind of disc do you want? And I was like, well, I want the breaker. Well, what kind of plastic? And I was like, well, have they done an ice plastic? And they're like, no, we haven't done ice plastic. I was like, well, cool, icebreaker. That's a cool name, right?
It's like, why haven't you already done that?
Right. So then I was like, okay, well, if I'm going to ride in the ice, might as well be a narwhal, right? Or a walrus or something of that nature. And then I just thought about it. I was like, narwhal, like, duh. Like, I think they're cool animals, man. I think that they're very majestic and they're very rare, and you don't see them all the time. I got another animal I'll be riding this year. I'm not going to tell anybody yet, but it's going to be fun.
Giraffe.
It's got to be a water animal. But it's the icebreaker. It made sense to be a narwhal popping through the ice with his tooth and all that. So
that was a cool stamp.
It was cool. The artist they got was the guy that did the Santa Cruz skateboards. So those skateboards that you see that say Santa Cruz on the bottom of them, that guy did the artwork for those runs of Tour Series discs.
How did the DGA sponsorship and stuff, how did that all kind of come to be, and and how's that working
So
out for you?
I was sponsored by Discraft for 5 years, 6 years, 5 or 6 years, for a good while. Being a kid, when I was a kid, I didn't like any of the other plastics. I loved Discraft because I was throwing so hard, and Discraft was the only disc that would hold up, to my arm speed at the time. And I had just won a couple A tiers, and things were looking great. And Discraft and I couldn't come to terms with what I wanted. They were like, "Is there anybody else out there?" And I was like, "Well, DGA and I were talking," and they were like, "Well, let's all get together." So basically, Discraft, DGA, and myself all got together and kind of came up with this deal to take me over to DGA. And it wasn't like a bad move. It was a wonderful move because I'm still part of my family. I'm still friends with all of them. There's no bad blood. This is my 3rd year now in DGA, and I've loved every minute of it. I threw DGA when I was a kid too, like tsunamis and squalls.
I'm starting to come over to the Discraft side.
As you should.
And DGA. I've been throwing your breaker and
a pipeline. It's a good one. They're a little flippy for me, but I think slower arms, older gentlemen, ladies, kids, pipeline is like a solid disc, dude, to start with. Yep. But DGA has been so good to me because they're like a family, right? Like Discraft was my family, but when I got over here, it was like, oh, this is real. Because we're small. We're 25 people deep on our team. We don't have a lot of people, but everybody's so close and everybody's so wonderful. So going out to the factory is like meeting all these people I've been talking to, all these, over the phone and for contracts or whatnot, or ordering things, and I get to meet them all, and they're just as genuine as they were over the phone. And Kelly Greenhoe, the team manager, Scott Kesey, Farina, the owner, Steady Ed's wife, she's wonderful. I mean, the whole company's great. And I don't really ever see myself going anywhere else. I really don't. I freaking love those guys. And it's the history, dude. DJ's the first disc golf company. They've always given me a platform to do what I want to do. So
yeah, and that's important too. For a brand, a company to work with their players.
I'm very grateful for anybody that gives me an opportunity to represent their company because they don't have to take that chance. I've always looked and given all my sponsors all my love, loyalty, and everything.
You've picked up a few new sponsors. Seen there was like a jerky brand or something that picked you up.
Big Country Beef Jerky, yeah. I got those guys. You can use my code Harbolt to get 10% off there. Also picked up FestiDaze. They're like a really cool apparel company, so they do some really cool spacey and wild colors and stuff.
I think that's the one I was looking at. They had a metal looking shirt.
Yeah, they've got
really heavy metal.
They do some pins and stuff too. So they got the Vegeta pin from Dragon Ball Z, throwing a disc in a basket. They just got some really cool stuff. So check those guys out too. And it's looking fun for this 2023 season. So we'll see what happens.
Speaking of the 2023 season, what's that looking like? I know you're home right now for a little while, but get into a little detail on that.
Yeah, so I didn't play up to my potential last year, so I didn't get my full Pro Tour card. So for the last 5-6 years, I've been doing nothing but playing these huge Pro Tours. And then later on came down the road, there was a exemption card that you can get. Well, I didn't get that one. So there was one more chance, and it was called a silver card. And I actually got that silver card. I think there were 20 given out. So there's 80 tour cards, 10 exemption cards, and 20 silver cards. And they were chosen, you finish in the top 80, you get your card. But the 30 other people were kind of chosen handpicked. There was a 50-50 doubt in my head that I was going to get the card or I wasn't, because my rating dropped a lot. And I had hand surgery at the beginning of the year. And so 2022 was a rough one. So going into this year, my tour is looking a little different than it normally has been. I only get to play on 4 of the Pro Tours right now, and I've signed up for those. So I'm going to be in Jonesboro, Music City Open, Idlewild, and Ledgestone. 4 tournaments I usually play good at, and then I'm going to do a bunch of I'm going to take it back to roots, man. I'm going to go just hit B tiers and A tiers and mingle with the fans like I used to. And last year was so hard. I was in the last year of my contract with DGA, and you have hand surgery on your throwing hand in February. So I just went right into it. I was like, I'm not going to take any time. I don't have time. I got a contract to live up to. I got to do this. So the first couple months was really hard. I didn't play very good. I maybe cashed one time in 8 tournaments. And I couldn't figure out the timing. Everything was so different. And finally it clicked. And then I finished out the year, 11 tournaments in a row I cashed. Mm-hmm. But that first 4 months was so hard, mentally, physically, emotionally. Everything was so hard that I forgot what I was doing out there. I forgot that I was playing disc golf. I was out there just trying to make it, and while I was more learning about myself and learning about things that I need to do for myself, I pushed disc golf back a little bit. It's looking a lot different, and I'll be posting my tour schedule very soon, but I've got a big plan. I do have one big plan though, so I might be flying somewhere really cool, and I'm excited about it. I can't say nothing yet because if it doesn't happen, I don't want to be excited, so.
Yeah, there's something to be said for just having fun, playing disc golf again. I heard you talking about the pro tour and like how that is, that's a lot more stressful of a round, those kind of things. And the fun aspect of disc golf is probably a balance at that point.
I think it's harder because the courses are a lot bigger now and they're getting bigger as we go. They're getting stretched out. Every time so the last 5 or 6 years you've been playing the pro tour, you play the course, the next year it gets stretched out a little more.
Yeah.
Then the next year it's a little more. So practice 3 times and you're like, okay, I didn't birdie that hole once.
Yeah.
And you say that 9 or 12 times on that course and you're like, oh God, I'm not going to score out here. It is stressful because there's money on the line, and my career's on the line, I got to get to the next stop. I have to. What am I going to do if I don't, So, but that's never happened. Thank God. But
you can be stranded in the middle of nowhere, like you're taking that payout and using that almost immediately, I'm sure.
Pretty much. You're always trying to put your best foot forward and you're always playing at 150% no matter what. But I wouldn't have it any other way, I promise. Like right now it's just chill time. I've been chilling and I'm trying to put in reps here and there while I go, but.
Yeah, just kind of a reset mentally and physically even. It seems like you set yourself up to have a lot more fun out on the course and stuff this
I think
year.
the most fun for me is going to be something I've never done before in the past 6-7 years of touring is I've never set up a booth and sold stuff.
Yeah.
And while I think that's a really weird way to do it because I got to play my round, I got to set up everything, go sell it, I can mingle with people who actually want to talk to me about disc golf or things. And that's where I'm probably going to have the most fun.
I seen that you had some accolades kind of on the wall up here. We're actually in Trevor's garage kind of set up. And so he's got some memorabilia. Is there anything on that wall that is the pinnacle of your career, like holds a special place in your heart?
Yeah, there is. There's some first place trophies, there's some A-tier wins, there's some cool trophies and stuff, but there's a newspaper article up there that the local newspaper in my Hardin County, Kentucky, reached out to me and found out I was doing a fundraiser for my dad's course here. I wanted to raise money to help him get new baskets. My dad had made baskets like 25 years ago, and while they were pretty solid for homemade baskets, I wanted him to feel good about his course. And so I ran a tournament, and these guys hit me up and wanted to know why I was doing this for my dad. And I got to tell a lot of history about my dad and myself. And you don't think about stuff like that when you're going through life half the time, and how much important your family is and stuff. And dude, if it wasn't for my dad, I wouldn't be playing disc golf. And to do something like that for him and get him these awesome, DGA Mach 7s out here, and to get it, enshrined in a newspaper that, everybody in this local area knows me. If you know a Harbolt in this area, we're disc golfers.
Yeah. So
for that, it was very touching for me because I think the most touching part was when my dad read it, he cried.
Yeah.
Because it was all about him, Yeah, there was some things in there about my career as a disc golfer and stuff, but the headline says Frisbee Family. Yeah. And that is the truest thing that you can say about my family is we're a Frisbee family, dude. Like all my cousins play, my brother plays, my dad plays, my stepmother plays. I mean, we all play. We have our own course. We've got, hundreds of collectible discs. We've got trophies everywhere. We've got, disc golf is my life. Always.
Always will be.
I'm about to cry because it always will be because of my dad. So that little newspaper article is probably the most important thing I've ever done in disc golf, because if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have a practice facility to get better. I wouldn't have disc golf, and that saved my life. I hated school and all that. In school, in high school, I was playing disc golf. I'd leave school and I wouldn't go party. I'd go play disc golf. So it's all about. That whole little thing up there is the newspaper article where I got to showcase my dad. That's the most important thing.
That is what it's all about. That's what I was telling you before the interview even. You know, you guys were my first disc golf family, and really if it hadn't been for you and your dad, I don't think that I would have ever picked up a disc again, like and went back out, because I'm a big old boy, you know, fat kid, always been, and I showed up to the course and you guys treated me like I was anybody else. You weren't like, oh, you know, Harry is a fat kid. He can't hang with us. I can't. You showed me that at Radcliffe. But, you know, you weren't like, man, here's a fat kid. He can't hang with us. You were like, hey, grab a card. We're playing dubs. You know, put your $5 in or whatever we're doing. And hang out. You know, we're one big family. Yeah. And I've truly held that as a standard for how I try to introduce people into the sport and how I try to promote this sport.
Yeah, dude, that means a lot. You know, I got a little emotional there, but it means a lot, man, because that's everything that me and Dad and, you know, the people that we surrounded ourselves with in disc golf in this local area, we try to do. Eddie Whalen, you know, people like that, man. It's like you see a new person that's never thrown before, give them a disc. Let them figure it out, because before social media, before the internet, the only way you could figure it out was by people giving you a disc, you know? Yeah. So that's what we still do that, you know. Me and Dad and Eddie and all them, we still play every Saturday morning when I'm home. And, you know, we go to a different course and I still beat them and they still get mad. And, you know, because I've been beating these guys since I was 16 years old, you know? Yeah. And they still give me all the, you know, for it. So
we need to get in on that and do a mic'd up round with them.
Oh my gosh,
Eddie Whalen, man,
that'd be a trip.
He's like one of my favorite people, I swear. And your dad, both. They're both just great guys. I'm gonna definitely try to do a spotlight on your dad.
Yeah, he's
and
Dad
him and Eddie, maybe.
I think in this local Meade County, Hardin County area, that, you know, if it wasn't for those two, man, you wouldn't have leagues. You wouldn't have any kind of community here. And, you know, if Dad wouldn't have taken over leagues 25 years ago, who knows where we probably wouldn't even have it. If Eddie wouldn't have, you know, used RTS as a brand to give money and stuff and CTPs to all these tournaments for people to come out, who knows where we'd be right now in disc golf in this area. Like,
well, Trev, it's been a blast, man. Yeah. I've had fun playing on your course out here. I've had fun just reminiscing, talking about the good old days.
For sure.
And talking about kind of the days to come. And I wish you the best on this, you know, season coming up. I feel like you're going to kill it this year, man.
I appreciate it.
I think you got it in you.
I appreciate you a whole bunch, man, for doing this. It's awesome, and I hope you know, your channel takes off and all that stuff soon. And just make sure all you guys subscribe to this guy's channel, man, and, you know, follow him on all his TikTok. He does some cool TikTok videos, and, you know, he's a local dude, and he's always been a friend of mine. So follow this guy and give him all your love too. So
follow all his stuff too, guys. Don't don't just follow me. I'm sure you're already following him. If you're not, what are you doing? But, you know, get on his stuff. And he's got a lot of cool stuff too on Instagram that I didn't realize, like not even really disc golf related, just like chill meditation, get your mind right kind of content. So it's really cool.
It's all about being in the moment and being positive.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Love you, bro.
I love you too, buddy. I appreciate you. Thank you, guys. Have a good day.